Back to the Blue Room at the Thompson Center. Thank you all for joining us. I'm here with Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, with Comptroller Susana Mendoza, and leaders in the legislature, Senator L.G. Sims, Representative Will Davis, Leader Lisa Hernandez, to speak to the progress that we're making for Illinois families as we kick off a new fiscal year. A once-in-a-lifetime pandemic has led to a very unusual economic moment, one where, although unemployment is down, prices are up. Buying a family home feels out of reach, and Illinois families are feeling the squeeze every way they turn. In challenging times like these, it's more important than ever to have a government whose first focus is on working families and those who are struggling, and leadership that provides new and creative ways to deliver relief when you need it most. Well, in Illinois, we are doing just that. We're sending $1.8 billion in tax relief to Illinois families, and we are able to do that because Democrats balanced the budget, eliminated the bill backlog, and state government is now running a surplus. Fiscal responsibility means Illinois taxpayers are no longer required to pay hundreds of millions of dollars in needless interest payments. Instead, we are able to better fund education, rebuild our roads, make our neighborhoods safer, attract new businesses to Illinois, and connect workers with good-paying jobs. And starting tomorrow, every Illinoisan will get tax relief on essentials: gas, groceries, and your home. To make back-to-school shopping less expensive, in August, we'll have a 10-day sales tax holiday for school supplies. And Comptroller Mendoza and her team are hard at work navigating the supply chain to provide checks with direct relief to working and middle-class families this fall. Even more tax relief will go into effect next year from a permanent increase in the Earned Income Tax Credit and an expansion of the number of households covered by it. That will put an additional $100 million per year back into the pockets of working families who need it most. Smart fiscal management at long last allows us to do all of this. 3 years ago, I came into office with a promise to govern responsibly after my predecessor had left unpaid bills piling up to $17 billion. Today's tax relief is the product of our fourth balanced budget in a row, and the second in a row with a significant surplus, enough to pay off our bill backlog, replenish our rainy day fund, and earn our state 6 credit upgrades. Our state is in its strongest fiscal position in a generation, and because of it, Illinois is doing what government is supposed to do: make our residents' lives better and make our future brighter. So thank you, and with that, I'm very proud to introduce a partner in Springfield, a true leader, someone who represents his constituents so incredibly well in the south suburbs, Representative Will Davis. Representative?
Thank you very much, Governor Pritzker, for that very kind introduction. Thank you to my colleagues and those that are standing behind me. If you heard the governor's remarks, 3 things should have stood out: working families, supporting education, and $1.8 billion in tax relief. We know that times have been difficult for a lot of people, including many of us and our families as well. But as Democrats, we are working very hard to make sure that we are upholding the values of Democrats to support working families. Providing $1.8 billion in tax relief is a tremendous feat. And the governor said that Democrats toed the line. We stood together to provide that effort for working families throughout the entire state of Illinois. So whichever side you're on, if you are a working family, you're going to benefit from all of this effort. Again, we know times are tough. Groceries are going up, gas is going up. Everything is costing more these days, but together as Democrats, we came together and we put forth a balanced budget that provided all of these efforts for working families here in the state of Illinois, including making sure that we continue to fund education. I chair the Appropriations Committee in the House for elementary and secondary education. So I'm always trying to advocate to make sure that education funding certainly is a priority. But not only did we prioritize education this year, we also prioritized working families by providing this tax relief package for them to try to offer a little relief for them in very tough times. So I'm proud to stand here with these individuals, proud of my colleagues in the Illinois House, for all working together to make sure that we pass a balanced budget that provides substantial tax relief for working families here in the state of Illinois. So I'm pleased and honored to be here today. And with that, I'd like to introduce another leader in the Illinois Senate, gentleman who led those budget discussions tremendously, and we're proud of his efforts and proud to work with him, my colleague, Senator L.G. Sims.
Thank you, Leader Davis. You know, again, my name is L.G. Sims, State Senator in the 17th District, and I chair the Senate Appropriations Committee. You know, as we talk about the efforts to provide direct relief for Illinois families, this is a process where we are investing in our communities. We're investing in working families. We're investing in making sure that we pay bills. We pay the state's bills so that we can help Illinois families pay their bills. As we started this year's budget negotiations, we understood that we were standing on sound fiscal footing, and that only happened because of the hard work that took place, led by Governor Pritzker and his administration, and Democrats in the legislature. In the Illinois Senate, under the leadership of Senate President Don Harmon, in the Illinois House, under the leadership of House Speaker Chris Welch. We passed a fiscally sound state budget that pays our bills. Went from under the previous administration, where we owed over $16 billion in old bills. We have gotten that down, and with the tremendous work of Comptroller Mendoza, we've gotten that down to where we're paying bills in under 30 days and are under $4 billion in outstanding debts. We are making a difference on behalf of the families all across this state. We're making sure that we pay our debts. We're making sure that we are being fiscally responsible. Now, there are going to be some who will say that these are election year gimmicks and decry these efforts as a political ploy. The reality is we are making fiscally responsible decisions. We are investing in the issues that will help our communities grow and be stronger. We're investing in education. We're investing in healthcare. We're investing in public safety. We're investing in a brighter future for Illinoisans. But that only happens with your support. That only happens with you continuing to listen to the issues that we raise and investing in us and investing in making sure that we have a bright future for the state of Illinois. I am so proud of the work that we have done here in Illinois, but more importantly, I'm so proud of the working families across Illinois who lift up their voices. That mother who is concerned about child care or concerned about how she's going to pay for school supplies for her children. The working father who is concerned about whether or not he's going to be able to pay for groceries, or that family who is worried about property taxes. The Family Relief Plan provides $1.8 billion in support to those families. So there'll be resources for support for property tax relief. There'll be direct supports for families and their children. There'll be supports to rising cost of gas and groceries. All of those efforts led by this governor and the Democrats in the General Assembly. So I'm so proud to stand here with my colleagues because we are making a difference on behalf of the people of the state of Illinois, and I'm so proud of the work that we have done. But we are not done yet. This is the start, but we are certainly not done. We are committed to improving the quality of life for the people of the state of Illinois, and we will continue to work in that vein. And to that, I'm proud to bring to the podium another leader in this effort. Before I leave the podium, let me say this. Governor Pritzker, I'm gonna go off script a little bit. Governor Pritzker, who has been committed to improving the lives of people across the state of Illinois, despite this false narrative that some try to create that these are efforts that are not, they're election year gimmicks. The reality is, you fought and you stood up against these false narratives, and you stood up to make a brighter future for Illinoisans. And I am so proud of the work that you've done, Governor, to make sure that Illinoisans stay safe during the pandemic that is still ongoing. Illinoisans are safe, and they recognize that they have the resources necessary as we see rising costs, but also to invest in education and healthcare and all of the vital things that are necessary to improve the quality of life for all Illinoisans. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my partner in these efforts as we started these budget negotiations, Leader Greg Harris, who could not be with us this morning, but Leader Harris and his efforts to make sure that he left Illinoisans in a better place than he found them fiscally. So, Greg, we know you're listening, and I want you to know how much we appreciate all the work and all the service that you've given to us throughout the state of Illinois. And with that, I'll bring Leader Lisa Hernandez to the podium.
Thank you, Senator. And I also, support Greg Harris has been a champion, and we're going to miss him. From dealing with the ongoing effects of the COVID pandemic to managing finances in the face of record inflation, we know Illinois families are hurting. Even so, we are inspired by the perseverance and grit shown by these families as they overcome these challenges. As your elected leaders, it is our mission to provide relief and recovery to the people and families who need it most. My colleagues in the General Assembly and I have worked hard with the Governor's Office to pass the Illinois Family Relief Plan to do just that. The relief package helps families put food on the table and gas in the car. Most importantly, this package makes sure no one is left behind. When we expanded the Earned Income Tax Credit to provide financial assistance to low-income Illinoisans, we made sure filers with individual taxpayer identification numbers, also known as ITIN, were included. By adding ITIN filers in the historic expansion, we're making sure immigrants get the relief they need. These hardworking residents pay the taxes that fund these programs, and they deserve to see its benefits. Under the Illinois Family Relief Plan, they will finally have that. I thank my colleagues and Governor Pritzker for their cooperation and collaboration in providing Illinois families and the relief they need, and I look forward to continuing our work to build a better Illinois for us all. I will now repeat this in Spanish. Enfrentando los efectos de la pandemia COVID y manejando las finanzas durante una inflación de récord, sabemos que las familias de Illinois están sufriendo y aún así nos sentimos inspirados por la perseverancia y el valor demostrado por estas familias mientras superan estos desafíos. Como sus líderes electos, es nuestra misión traer alivio y recuperación a las personas y familias que más lo necesitan. Mis colegas en la Asamblea General y yo hemos colaborado con la Oficina del Gobernador para aprobar el plan de alivio a familias de Illinois para hacer precisamente eso. Este paquete de alivio ayuda a las familias a poner comida en la mesa y gasolina en el carro. Más importante, es un paquete que asegura que nadie se queda atrás. Cuando expandimos el crédito fiscal por ingresos ganados, que viene siendo Earned Income Tax Credit, para dar asistencia financiera a personas de Illinois de bajos recursos, nos aseguramos que esos con el ITIN, que viene siendo el número de identificación de contribuyente de impuesto individual, fueran incluidos. Agregando solicitantes del ITIN, en esta expansión histórica estamos asegurando que los inmigrantes reciben el alivio que necesitan. Esta gente trabajadora paga impuestos que financian estos programas y merecen ver sus beneficios. Bajo el plan de alivio familiar de Illinois, por fin se va a lograr. Quiero agradecer a mis colegas y al gobernador Pritzker por su cooperación y colaboración en ayudar a las familias de Illinois con el alivio necesitado. Y espero continuar nuestro trabajo para crear un mejor Illinois para todos nosotros. Muchísimas gracias. And now it's my distinct pleasure to introduce our Comptroller, Susana Mendoza.
Well, good morning. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, good morning. Well, let's shake it up a little bit. Well, it's my pleasure to be here. I'm pleased to join Governor Pritzker and legislative leaders today in support of the Illinois Family Relief Plan. You know, it is an indisputable fact that Illinois has taken unprecedented responsible actions towards budgeting for this next fiscal year. The governor already made mention that this is the fourth responsibly balanced budget under his watch. And we've done so by not spending everything that comes in, and instead putting $1 billion into the state's rainy day fund, $500 million in pension stabilization, and providing $1.8 billion in tax relief to working families and individuals in Illinois. Now, this tax relief is possible because we've balanced our state budgets, eliminated our bill backlog the governor talked about, an almost $17 billion backlog that I inherited back in 2016, which is now no longer a backlog, but in fact an accounts payable of $2.0 billion as of this moment, the lowest it's been in decades. And we are paying our bills on time. We've paid off our short-term debts early, saving taxpayers millions of dollars in interest payments. And in fact, the days of late payment interest penalties totaling over $1 billion is gone. Those have been paid down as well. We've increased the state's credit rating, not once or twice, 3, 4, or 5, but now 6 times, and are paying down our pension liabilities. Did I mention this is all happening during a global pandemic? And we're delivering stability and predictability to our state vendors and providers of government services in a way that they haven't seen for years. Illinois is firmly on the responsible path of spending less and saving more. As we face record levels of inflation and rising gas prices, I believe it is the right thing to do to give taxpayers a break. Let's remember that this money is not our personal money. It's taxpayer money. And giving it back to them in the form of tax relief when they need it most is the right course of action. As I've said, we've worked very hard to put Illinois in a much stronger financial footing. As Comptroller, I could not be prouder of the work of my office in collaboration with Governor Pritzker and the legislature to do the pretty remarkable, almost impossible challenges of what we've achieved in a short amount of time that has allowed us today to provide this tax relief to Illinois' working families and individuals. We will process them in the Office of Comptroller in the order that we receive them from the Department of Revenue. And I applaud, lastly, again, the leadership of Governor Pritzker and the support of our legislative leaders for making today's announcement of the Illinois Family Relief Plan a reality. Thank you. And I will now have the distinct pleasure myself of introducing and calling up to the podium our wonderful Lieutenant Governor, Julia Stratton.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton. I use she, her pronouns. First, thank you, Comptroller Mendoza, for your leadership on behalf of all Illinoisans. And thank you, Governor Pritzker, for always ensuring Illinois families are at the forefront of our state's policies. I also want to take a moment to thank my friends and former colleagues in the General Assembly for their collaboration and leadership on this tax plan so that we can ease the weight on Illinoisans' shoulders. Good government works for the people because we know how hard you work. We know that you are pushing forward in the face of historic rates of inflation nationwide and globally that have put an immense burden on the families of our state. And we're here today to make clear that you are not weathering this storm alone. And that is true for everyone across our state, from Cook County to Cairo, because we worked hard to ensure all Illinoisans are seen and supported through this plan. The $1.8 billion in relief that is about to be delivered, it is for the parents that are trying to feed their children. Food insecurity has impacted every county of our state, and we have dug in to identify the long-term solutions so every community has access to fresh, nutrient-dense food. But at the same time, we are responding immediately by suspending the grocery tax for 1 year starting tomorrow. This plan is for our rural communities. As chair of the Governor's Rural Affairs Council, I have traveled the state and heard directly from residents in these communities about the barriers to receiving health care or even getting food because they can't afford to drive the long distances. They deserve to be able to access these lifelines as we continue to build the infrastructure they need for a good quality of life. And freezing the state motor fuel tax will help ease the impact of these barriers. This plan is for our teachers who devote their time, money, and energy to uplifting the next generation of our state. As we are investing historic amounts into education, we are also doubling the tax credit for educators and introducing a sales tax holiday for this back-to-school season through the Illinois Family Relief Plan. And as the governor said, this plan is for the 97% of our state's income tax filers who will be receiving checks directly to help them pay bills. When every community is seen and supported, when we are intentional about lending a hand to all who need it, we can all rise up together. I'm so proud to stand here with all of you today because this is how we move forward as one Illinois. Thank you. And with that, I will invite Governor Pritzker to return to the lectern to answer any questions from the media. Governor?
Thank you. Well, happy to take any questions from members of the media. I see Craig.
Good morning, Governor.
Good morning.
There's breaking news coming out of but the EPA probably enforcing regulations. Your reaction to that and how that might impact Illinois' regulations?
I have not seen the ruling, so it'd be difficult for me to comment about it. Obviously, we live in a world today where we're attempting to clean the air, clean the water, make sure that we have clean air and clean water for the next generation. So anything that diminishes our ability to do that would be, a terrible setback.
I can just switch. Quoted as telling Biden before you went to New York. Primary challenge here in Chicago. The question is, do you that Biden running for president?
Well, I'm supporting President Biden in his reelection, and he has said and indicated that he intends to run. So that's where I stand. I'm going to be out there advocating for his reelection and for the reelection of all Democrats.
If he would decide not to run, if he asked to run, would you consider it?
I'm focused on getting reelected as governor of Illinois and serving 4 years more so that we can do even more during the next 4 years than we've already done, which is quite a lot during this last 4 years to lift up working families.
But if asked, would you run?
Nobody asks anybody. This is, I'm focused on running for the governorship of Illinois. Every day I spend trying to lift up people across this state. I intend to do that for the next 4 years.
Can we get some other people?
Yes.
Why not?
Well, actually, we're doing something even better. We're sending checks directly to people. They can use those dollars to reduce their, gas price at the pump by paying for it, or they can use it in other ways. Not everybody drives everywhere, and so you can use it for, purchasing other things that you may need on top of the other tax breaks that we're already providing.
Governor, switching topics, we're hearing. Have you heard about that?
Well, CMS has asked me to remind everybody that we're still involved in negotiations with the developer who is purchasing the Thompson Center. Obviously, I'd be thrilled to see more jobs and expansion of a company like Google in the city of Chicago, and I'll certainly advocate for them in whatever way I can. Again, CMS is focused on, and our government's focused on, closing the transaction that's currently on the table.
Governor, if we can ask you, ton of money to party here in Illinois.
Haven't thought about that. All I want is to make sure that the Democratic Party is organized in a way that we can raise money for state candidates and federal candidates. As you know, there are challenges with that, having a federal office holder as the chair. I support Congresswoman Robin Kelly. She's terrific in her role as congressperson and as somebody who's lifting up Democrats across the state. So this is really just a matter of how we organize to make sure we can raise the kind of dollars and organize our party to elect Democrats across the state. She's great. There are just legal challenges. I think you know about that. The FEC has raised some of those, and they're very difficult to overcome, and I think you've seen it in the challenges that the parties had in fundraising. Having said that, she's a terrific leader. I think, some of the people that are standing behind me work with her on a regular basis, as do I. So I intend to continue working with her. But, how we organize the party, that's something that we'll talk about in the next few weeks.
We'll do one more.
I did have one question from Greg.
This will go be the last one then. So enjoy it. Enjoy it.
So he's just asking county court, contempt of court for not file. Why is your administration accepting these detainees?
Well, as you know, that matter is now part of a lawsuit in court, not appropriate for me to comment on.
And Governor Pritzker, your thoughts on the swearing in? Andy Brown Jackson.
It's a historic day, no doubt about it. The idea that she will be joining the court, she is really one of the most qualified people in my lifetime to have been nominated and now approved to be on the Supreme Court. So I'm thrilled to see her joining the court. I wish there were more people like her joining the court now, because we've seen that this court, the majority anyway, is taking away people's rights. And as a result, we're seeing women's rights, reproductive rights gone. And unfortunately, I think we're heading in a terrible direction as they've taken away the right to privacy. So I know she'll fight hard to preserve rights for people across the country, and I'm very pleased to see that she'll be a Supreme Court justice.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.